Listen closely, my friends, for scary stories abound to keep you awake through the pitch black night. Oh, have I got a story for you?
I'm here with Isaac from Hidden in the Shadows podcast. How you doing, Isaac?
Yo, doing good.
You have a scary story for us.
Yes. And granted, there's some context, but the way I tell the story would be enough of its own. Um, and when this happened, I'm basically going to talk about one of my first oppression cases that I did, because also as a paranormal investigator, as myself, I have been called to certain locations to deal with things, and because of my ability as the shadow walker, is the reason why I'm called there anyway. If you're wondering what a shadow walker is, I would point you in the direction of my podcast, In the Shadows. Shadow Walker episodes 1 through 5 gives an all detail of what I can do. So follow along as much as you can, but it's definitely going to get weird. So, the first oppression case I ever dealt with. This was about a year and a half of me having my ability. And it happened to be so a member of my team named Mike had a friend whose son was being oppressed heavily. And they were going through a lot of stuff. And the reason he knew Mike was from a previous work job, and he knew Mike was in the paranormal stuff like that. It's the reason why I reached out in the first place. And they were going through a lot of stuff that they have talked about with Mike before. They were seeing shadow figures in their house. Their son changed attitudes altogether. He went from a normal kid to all of a sudden being angry at everything and everyone, lashing out, like talking like he wasn't himself, just like the most notorious changes or most nefarious changes that you can think of. So that's why he reached out to Mike to begin with, and they looked terrible, as he describes. Like they had circles on their eyes, like they haven't gotten any sleep. He asked what was wrong. They said they haven't been able to sleep, peacefully because of like they're having nightmares and they're seeing stuff in the house. So he asked, "Can you help us?" Like, yeah, I got just the guy. It's me. And what Megan did, my wife on our team, also co-host of Hidden Shadows, she has a distinctive ability, being a psychic she is, to remote view into locations. So she remote viewed into these people's home, and she looked around, and what she saw come around the corner was a giant, what she describes, Groot, like Marvel's Groot looking kind of demon, but
Hmm.
it was made of like burnt wood, and it had like almost a human head with like horns, but they were like trees. And it said, "Oh, they send a witch after me." And she basically backed down and said, "Yeah, there's something there. We need to go." I'm like, all right. So literally the next day, or next evening, we show up, and as we go in to the house, the families and the parents are in another room, and me, Mike, and the kid are in the living room, and Megan, my wife, and funny enough, we also have a member on the team also named Megan, which is Mike's wife. So two Megans. This doesn't make confusing investigations at all. They were outside, and the reason why they're outside because Megan not only can remote view in, but she can create kind of a shield, blocking stuff, negative stuff specifically. And the reason she was outside was she wasn't going to allow this thing to run away, which we didn't want to run away. And now when most people would think about oppression cases and pushing away spirits, that kind of seems counterproductive. But after you find out what I can do, you understand why. So Mike does a Native American prayer, and he's trying to sever the tie between the kid and the demon that's attached to it. The kid starts talking like not himself, and I tell him, "Listen, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to it." So I start talking. I say shit to him, but I start talking like tough. I start calling this thing out, like, "Come on, come at me. I want you to come at me." And because I was feeling around the room and I couldn't feel where this thing was, and I was trying to pinpoint. I was trying to make it charge me, like a lot of entities have before. And I'm reaching around, and then after Mike is done with his Native American prayer, he basically says, "It's severed, it's cut, get it." I'm reaching around. I don't know where it is. I'm like, crap, did it get away? And all of a sudden, I feel my right hand charge immensely. And the sensation feels like when your hand's going to sleep, that heavy, staticky feeling in my right hand. And I reach out and I grab this thing as I feel it running at me. And I have it and I force it into my ring where I imprison majority of the things I've taken. And I laughed. I laughed because it was easy. And I was like, I had to make a mistake. This can't be, it can't be that easy. This is a demon. I know what this is. I haven't come across one that I at least confirmed to be actual demon. This should be tough. This should be the hardest thing ever taken down. And it was easier than the things I take down in regular investigations where I don't know where it is. And I was trying to make sure like I didn't make a mistake. But after I pulled it, we checked around the house. I even checked in the kid's mind force, like I usually do with oppression cases, and it was gone. The environment changed. It went from being high tense anxiety to just cool, everything's relaxed vibe. The parents even noticed it when it came into the room. Like it doesn't feel intense. It feels fine. It feels normal. And we stayed with the family about a good hour, just talking, explaining what we do as a team and stuff like that, how we met Mike and all that, like kind of just chatting up. And the kid was asking questions. He was intrigued. He was actually changing. They noticed his personality change within the
Hmm.
few minutes of us just there. And we're like, okay, I guess everything's good. And we left and we checked in about a week later. They said, I don't know what you did or how you did it, but everything is back to normal. It's like it never even happened. They were like, all right, I guess we did. And that told me from that day on that, well, a lot of these demons out there talk a big game. They're not all as bad as they at least they think they are, and they seem to be easily, vanquished in a sense like that. But then again, with what I do, uh, not a lot of stuff has been able to stop me. So
And here we are. You're on case by case, doing your thing and getting rid of the spirits.
yes, and it is just one of many that I've taken down since then, and I've been doing this for 3 years now. Uh, and I've only gotten stronger by every single case that I've taken. And I've done a lot of oppression cases. Yet to find a possession case, but a lot of oppression cases because there seems to be more oppression cases than anything. It's rare that you get to the possession level, but when it does, that's when the big guns have to come out.
Fair enough. Thank you for your spooky, scary story.
No problem.